Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Chilltown Hoops. I'm your host, Jermaine. The youngsters call me OG. My friends call me J-Dub. Let's get to it. So we got the finals starting tonight. And I would like to say welcome back after 47 years to the Milwaukee Bucks. Guys, where you been? Phoenix has been a participant of the finals a little earlier, 28 years ago, but we're back. Milwaukee is absolutely back. So the question is who's the favorite? Who has the edge here? Well, Milwaukee's best player is hobbled. And his game is predicated on flight and athleticism. Giannis is arguably the best transition player in the game. That's what his game is. He's a half-court player. He can play in the half-court, but his game is primarily in transition. Getting the ball off the backboard and going. Or filling the lane and going. He reminds me of a bigger, stronger, more athletic version of Doc. And they're going to need him, but the problem is he's not 100%. And when you get to this point in the season, who really is 100%? I mean, Chris Paul, word is he's got partially torn ligaments in his hand. Well, what's that going to mean going forward? That means that the best guys that they have, Middleton, PJ Tucker, Portis, Connaughton, Brook Lopez. Whatever they did, because this is the final stage, this is the biggest stage in pro basketball. Whatever they did, they have to exceed that in this round. They have to. And what can't happen is we can't have lulls. And what I mean when I say lulls, I mean where we have stinkers. These guys, Chris Paul doesn't do anything in game 2. He doesn't do anything in game 3. We're going to have stretches where we get cold. But we can't have complete games where that happens. No, that's not going to work. Absolutely not. Now, what's going to be the difference in this series? I think the difference in this series is what's been the difference in the playoffs. Health. Absolutely, more than anything. Health. That's been the difference in the playoffs. The best teams that stay healthy wins. So the team that stays healthy wins. And the teams that don't, they lose. It's really that simple. So you got a guy in Giannis who's the best player. Who's if I had to guess off the top of my head, Giannis is probably going to be, if he able to come back in this series, 70%. Because this is an injury that if this was the regular season, he'd be out a month. It's the same injury that Joel Embiid had when he went down. And the Sixers were still rolling. But my point is that at best, in this short period of time, he'd be 70% tops. Now, that would mean his game would slow down. And that's an advantage for Phoenix. Because that helps them in transition. That helps them on the backboard. Because Giannis is everything that they do. Offensively and defensively. They're running offense through him. He's the anchor on their defense. He's their best rebounder. He's their best shot blocker. He's their best transition player. He's their best offensive player. So, with him being hobbled and them slowing down, this injury slowing him down, Milwaukee has to find other ways to score regularly. Well, how are we going to do that? We got to get Middleton more involved early and often. Because Middleton has stretches where he'll get involved early and then he'll just be ice cold. Now, I can appreciate pace. Pace is huge. You don't want to empty it all in the first quarter because you want to have something left in the fourth quarter. You want to have something left in the second half. I can appreciate that. But They can't have stretches where like he'll score 8 points in the first quarter and then 0 in the second or 2. And then we expect him to go for 19 in the third quarter or 14 in the fourth. Well, that's a recipe for disaster. So there has to be a level of consistency with him in order for them to have a legit shot at winning this thing. Drew, I love Drew Holiday's game. The issue that we have with him is Milwaukee shoots the 3-ball a lot. And that falls into now him having to shoot the 3-ball a lot. Now, Drew isn't a great 3-point shooter. He's not horrible neither. He's a solid 3-point shooter. But because Milwaukee shoots the 3-ball the way they do, he kind of veers toward that a little much when it goes away from his game. Because a lot of stuff with his game is going to the basket. Offensively, a lot of his stuff is in the mid-range. And because Milwaukee plays the way they play, he kind of falls in love with, he goes away from his mid-range game. Now, if he could stick to that, I think they got a really good shot. Portis is going to be huge for what they're doing. He's going to be absolutely huge for what they're, because Phoenix is a transition team. So being a transition team, you're going to have a lot of rebounds. And not only are you going to have a lot of defensive rebounds, you're going to have a lot of second chance points too. Reason why is because Phoenix being a transition team, you can speed the game up too, which causes them to not get back in transition when you get quick shots and you can get quick rebounds. And Portis is going to be huge for that. Connaughton, I'd like to see him be more consistent. He's got to be more consistent. He can't have games where he goes 18 and then the next game he goes 0. That can't happen. Because he's crucial to what they're doing. Offensively, particularly, he's big for what they're doing. I spoke about this a little while ago about what works, and teams go away from it because it's not sexy. What worked for Milwaukee was when they went to Brook Lopez early and often underneath the basket. That worked. Those games when they beat Atlanta, they shot the least amount of threes and they out-rebounded Atlanta. The same thing can work in this particular situation if Brook Lopez would play down low more. Now, as for Phoenix, what has to happen defensively, with Milwaukee, they have to slow up Phoenix in their transition. And how do you do that? Well, you got to slow down Chris Paul. And in order to slow down Chris Paul, the pickup point has to be earlier. It has to be. Chris Paul gets a full head of steam with Book running on one end and Cameron Payne and DeAndre Ayton and those guys getting out in transition. That's a recipe for disaster. So the pickup point has to be earlier to slow down their game. And Drew Holiday is going to be huge in that aspect. Because otherwise, it's going to be a track meet. So my issue with Chris Paul is him staying healthy throughout this series. His game goes without saying. We saw him in the closeout game against the Clippers where he went for 41. We saw him in the closeout game against Denver where he went for 37. So we know we know what he's capable of. So that's not a question. The question is, can he hold up physically? If he can hold up physically, they got a really good shot. They got a really good shot at winning it. Book is looking like he can become a star in the game. I'd like to see Book play on the other side of the ball a little bit more. But offensively, he's become something better. He's become a lot more fluid in his movement. He's become smarter at getting to his spots. And he just looks calmer out there. Because of that, it just makes him look better. He's one of the better young players in the league, and it's exciting to watch him grow, man. I think he's going to have a great series. Now, the X factor, in my opinion, in this series is DeAndre Ayton with the rim running and his ability to rebound. his ability to score in the post. If he can play the way he played in the games against the Lakers, if he can do that against Milwaukee, not only do they have a good shot at winning, I think he could be the Finals MVP. That's how confident in his game I am. But this year, I think it's the best opportunity for Milwaukee. This is their best shot. And this is the best opportunity that Giannis is going to have as the lead dog. Even though he's beat up, I think this is the best opportunity he's going to have to win the NBA championship. I don't think he's going to get another opportunity like this again. Chris Paul neither, but particularly Giannis. Because the East is going to get better next year. Brooklyn will be back. Philly will be back. Boston will be back. Miami will be back. All of these teams will be back. So this is the best opportunity that Giannis is going to have. Now, I think Phoenix has a great shot. And if Phoenix wins the NBA Finals, I think DeAndre Ayton is going to be the Finals MVP. But it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be really interesting. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. And I will see you guys tonight live. So let's get it. Good to see you.